The loudest thing about a woman is the impact that she creates around her. Hi everyone, I'm Aparna and this is the Naarishakti Show, a weekly podcast where we feature women who bridge the gap between dreaming and doing. Every week, we present women who are leaders, change makers, creators, authors, and more, who uncover stories that shape them. This isn't just about professional success, it's the grit, grace, and the stories behind every journey. Our goal is to bring to you inspirations that stay long after the episode ends. Today, I have the absolute privilege of featuring someone whose stories have been so impactful that they've been featured in the iconic billboards of Times Square in New York. From a 25-year-old titan in the IT industry to a three-time Thinkers 360 global thought leader, she is the strategic architect behind the next generation of female power. She is a TEDx speaker, a visionary creator behind the Trailblazers program. She's known as the networking queen and has mastered the art of authentic connection and storytelling. Please join me in welcoming the very formidable Neeraja Ganesh.
Thank you so much, Aparna.
It's such a pleasure having you here.
My pleasure, my honor to be at Shobhitam and have this conversation with you.
Okay, Neeraja. So I was watching your TEDx talk very recently, and what stood out was the opening and the closing. This is what the closing said. The girl who did not join the engineering college in Rane Banor is today speaking at the TEDx event hosted by JPS at Rane Banor. So you talk about breaking away from herd mentality,
Right.
Passion over pressure. So what really led you to it and how has that shaped you?
So you rightly said my TEDx talk is called Be Yourself.
Okay.
And when they asked me to speak, I couldn't think of anything else but that. That was the message that I wanted to tell everyone, that you can be yourselves and still achieve whatever you want to. You don't have to take a formula from somebody else. I always say you can get inspired, take inspiration from everyone around, but do your own thing, right? So, for example, when I moved out of my 25 years of a technology career, and I'm not going to repeat the TEDx talk, the 18 minutes, then we'll waste 18 minutes here. It's also for the audience to go and watch my TEDx talk. But let me talk about when I moved out, right, of the corporate career. There was only one mission that I had, which was to bring about a positive mindset shift with every interaction that I had with women and students. That's all. Now, how do I achieve that? I didn't know, but I looked at every opportunity that came my way to say, if this can bring about a positive mindset shift, I'll do it. For example, this conversation, I'm sure it'll bring about a mindset shift to some of the people who are watching it. So it was a very unconventional thing. You don't have a title. Yeah, money, of course, when you start, you didn't have the money. You make money as you go along once you establish yourselves. And that was not following the herd. And a lot of people have asked me, in fact, just 2 nights ago, there was this very, very senior leader from LinkedIn who reached out to me and said, I need to talk to you about your speaking engagements. So I said, okay, give him time. And he said, why did you choose a speaking career? I said, I didn't choose a speaking career. I had an underlying purpose, which is, and I continue to have, which is to bring about the mindset shift. And if speaking enables that, then I'll do that. Training enables that, mentoring enables that, writing enables that, I will do all of that. So when you have an underlying purpose, like you have, you moved away from a technology career to this. There is an underlying purpose. Otherwise, I was like, oh, she sells saris. You know, they can also say that.
Absolutely.
But your underlying purpose drives you to build organizations and achieve what your underlying purpose is. I think that's what the message is. And that's what I wanted to tell, that I didn't have to do an engineering. I got the seat, but I didn't take it up. And every phase of my life, I chose to study mathematics instead of engineering.
You were enamored by numbers.
Yeah, I told my father, find someone in Bangalore as a husband, because I didn't want to go out of the country, which was a very hatke decision in those days. And I chose roles which will keep me in India, even if it meant my career growth was slower. because there was an underlying why. So if you know your why, just follow that and don't follow the herd.
Lovely. So let's take a step back. So being in the trenches of, IT, what was the catalyst that led you to this, wanting to have that mindset change? So what led you to that purpose?
So I'll go back to a story. I was not this kind of a speaker.
Okay.
In fact, I didn't even speak to a person who was sitting next to me.
We all evolved.
Yeah. A very meek, timid, shy girl. And for the first 10 years of my corporate career, I didn't say hi to the person who was sitting next to me. I was that kind of a person.
Okay.
I got an opportunity to lead a team because my manager had gone to Melbourne. I was in ANZ and he had gone to Melbourne for 6 months. And in those days, you didn't define leadership as what we define it today. The most technically qualified person was appointed the leader, which was me. Now, this meek, timid, shy girl who doesn't talk, I realize I can't be like this to lead teams because there is I need to stand up for my team. There was a lot that the organization was driving, the stakeholders were driving. There was a lot of bad emails coming our way saying your team is not performing, and I did need to speak up. So I spoke up, right?
Okay.
And it was received well. That's the other part of the story.
Was it hard coming out of the shell doing it?
It would have been, I'm sure, it was very long ago, but I'm sure it would have been very, very difficult. And I remember having sent an email to my manager because suddenly from an individual contributor of just doing your code and going home, now you have to kind of deal with all of this. And there's so much to do in a day. And he told me, he responded to me over email saying that take one thing at a time.
Okay.
I think that was brilliant advice because you get intimidated with 20 things. As he said, take one thing, finish that, then you go to the next thing, right? So, yeah, it would have been hard, but I think what helped was for the first time when I actually challenged the management, which was the managing director of that organization, I was heard.
Okay.
And that's what helped me to continue, speaking. Now, I got an opportunity. So this transformation happened. If I had not gotten the opportunity, I may have stayed the same meek, timid, shy girl and we may not have been sitting here today. So I realized that when I did a lot, even in my corporate, endeavors, I ensured that I mentor, guide, and I get people to speak up and just follow whatever they want to do. But when I moved out, I did not want people to just wait for something to happen. I mean, nothing happens if you just keep waiting.
Correct.
Right? I wanted them to grab opportunities and create opportunities for themselves. So I said, that's what I should enable. And that's how I moved into the space that I'm in now.
So this particular situation was life-changing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize then. But when you reflect, it's always, they say, you can always connect the dots later.
Right. So you often talk about the broken rung and the glass cliff. Do you think it's time for women not to lean in and fix ourselves? What is the one thing that needs to reform where, women don't have to lean in and fix ourselves? It's a society that has to change around her. Specifically workplace related.
Definitely, yeah. See, the biases and stereotypes continue. I don't see it going away. It exists even today. So definitely from an organization perspective, I think as a leader and, at every layer in the management and of course in the team, I think there is a reflection that they need to do to see whether we are biased. For example, job descriptions.
It happens very unconsciously.
Yeah. Product manager, he should be, right? It starts there. And the minute you read it, he should be, research has proven that a woman will not apply or she will think 20 times before applying because it says he should be, right? Things are getting better. Things are getting better because either they say he, she, or they just say the candidate should be.
Right.
It's coming to that stage, but it starts there. And the words, actually, there are a few words which are very gender specific, right? If you have a word which says...
I can absolutely relate to that because there are so many times I'm addressed in an email or a WhatsApp message saying, "Dear sir." They just assume that it's a
Yes,
man on the other side.
exactly. Yeah. So if it's a we need a strong candidate, strong kind of is a masculine, interpretation. Versus if you say we need someone who's supportive, collaborative, the interpretation becomes female. So can we make it gender neutral? Don't use this, don't use that. But say you can say exceptional, motivated. So of course there's a lot of research that's gone behind this, and I'm seeing job descriptions change, but it starts there. What can we change in the organization? Can we start looking at the job descriptions, because that's when you hire. So if you're saying I'm not getting enough candidates, why? Is it a problem with your job description? And then when you have the candidate, the interview panel, is it a manel, or do you have an equal number of women and men? The questions, are you going to ask them even today? Question: are you married and are you going to have a baby? And the
Immaterial,
kind,
right?
yeah,
Yes.
that happens. So I'll give a story here. Pankajam Sridevi, at some time you should interview her. She was the MD of Commonwealth Bank of India, and now, of course, she's gotten out of corporate career and she's on a board and all of that. So apparently she moved from manufacturing to technology or something, and at that time she had taken a break. And then she had a baby and she went for an interview. And on the day of the interview, she didn't have anyone to look after her young child. So she took the child along.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, the child was there at the interview with her. She cleared the interview. She's a phenomenal woman. But they asked her, they said, I hope you'll be able to find some way of managing the child when you start working. And Pankajam, being Pankajam, she said, if I managed the interview, I'll manage the job. Okay. So these are the things
Very
that organizations need to change, right? And this is around hiring and then task allocation, performance appraisals. What about the inclusiveness? So it's not good enough to say, oh, I hired a woman. But are you being inclusive to understand? And even recently, there's a mentee of mine who came and said that, Neeraja, these people will go away for some evening breaks or late night, dinner parties. Discussions and decisions also get taken there. And I don't attend those. And I come back and then I'm seeing something totally different is happening in the team. Oh, yesterday we decided. So I said, at least you should have the courtesy to call me from there to say we are deciding, or tell me that we are making a decision. Are you okay with it? Do you have a point of view? No, they have decided. So then you've hired a woman, but you're not being inclusive, because you need to understand, why have discussions after office hours? Have those discussions within office hours, right? So quick story. When I started, I was studying at NIIT, a 2-year IT course. It was called software course then, that I was doing. And Sonata came to, take a few of us as contract programmers. It was a full-time job, 8 hours. And we had to work in shifts, because in those days, we didn't have enough computers even in the company. So morning shift, evening shift, same computer was being used. And I was given the morning shift. Also because I had my NIT classes were still going on from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Now, I could have still managed it, because there were only 3 days every week that I had to go to NIT. But 3 days is not going to help you learn programming, because you have to practice a lot. And what we used to do was we used to hang around in the institute to look at a spare PC, somebody is absent, a faculty didn't come. That was not possible if I'm going to sit in the morning shift here and then go 3 to 5 to my classes, right? So it was bothering me. And decisions I could have taken, I could have taken a break from NIT, because it was a 3-month contract role. But I didn't want to do that, because I wanted to finish it up. There, my father was trying to find a guy for me, and I didn't want that. I wanted to finish the course. I didn't want to leave the opportunity also, because I wasn't sure after this guy has been found whether I'll get to work, right? And I didn't want to do both, because then I wouldn't do both well, because I'm not getting enough practice hours, and this is going to bother me. My work also won't be appropriate. So I didn't know what to do. And this meek, timid, shy girl actually went to the senior management and told her, there was a lady, Suman, I can not forget her, I can work, but this is my predicament. I didn't have any solution, but I just told her this. And everybody in my team said, hey, they're not going to do anything. They'll say, you finish your course and come back. If there's an opportunity, then we'll hire you. Or you make the decision, whatever you want. We can't do anything. Anyways, 2 days later, she came back to me and she said, we have made an exception.
Wow.
We are going to give you a dedicated computer. So you can come whenever, you can go whenever, as long as you finish the work that has been given to you for a week. And that just helped me. So I would be at the NIT Institute, come back here, go back there, you know. And today, if I'm here, I think that was the inclusive nature, right? They wanted to hire students. It's not what they did something for a girl, but they wanted to hire students. And one of the students had a different need. And that's the equity and inclusiveness. So I think if organizations can first understand diversity and change whatever is required to kind of enable that, and inclusiveness is the most important part after hiring, a diverse team, a lot will change.
Very nice. Small things that we can do that can make a huge
Absolutely, very
difference.
true, very true.
I feel that a true change maker is one who not only breaks all the barriers on her way, but also opens doors for other people.
Yes.
So you've devised this program called the T-shaped leadership.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of us are intrigued to know more about it. So what exactly is it? How can one benefit from it?
Sure. So T-shaped leadership, T-shaped individual is a what do you call a term which has been there for a while, but people don't know how to become T-shaped, right? Because it's not a course. So to explain T, if you look at the T, the vertical of the T is all the core skills, domain skills, the technical skills that you kind of have,
Right.
which we study.
Right. Which
And
is what you said
yeah.
you had when you started off, but you weren't communicating, you weren't
Yes,
vocal enough.
exactly. And we do n number of certifications today to kind of just keep building that vertical, which is good. But the horizontal is the differentiating factor. Are you a problem solver? Can you collaborate? Can you manage teams? Are you curious? Innovative and all of that. And that doesn't come by a course.
True.
No course can teach you that.
True.
So that has to be as broad as possible, because in today's day and age, every other person coming out of a university is good enough. An 80% and a 90% really doesn't make any difference, but it is about how your breadth is, the breadth which kind of differentiates you, and hence you are hired as against some other person. So how does one build a T? Starting from college, I think today, starting from school days, can you focus on all the other activities that you can contribute to, whether it is sports, whether it is any clubs that you have. And of course, there's a lot that happens outside of school also today, and in colleges. And when you come to workplaces, just being in your own team will not help. Can you look at what else is happening in the other team, and can you give a helping hand? It will help you learn, and it will help you contribute, and the breadth kind
Broaden
of
your
expands.
perspective
Yeah.
too.
So gone are the days when I want to be a data analyst, I'll study math, statistics, computer science, which is what my daughter did. But if you look at what she did through her college, she actually worked for all the 3 years when she was, in college.
Okay.
There is this platform, Aspire for her,
Yes,
Madhura. So
yes.
she worked from the day Aspire for her was born. She was working at Aspire for her for the 3 years.
Amazing.
And the kind of exposure and learning that she got, she says that when she didn't get a placement from college because of bad time that year. She went in for an interview at this huge organization, and some very senior person came to interview. It was not the math, statistics, computer science which got her the role. It was her experiences of having done a variety of things, which was at some point in time she was doing social media. She has always been wanting to be a data analyst. How does be doing social media help her? But she never said no to it.
Okay.
That has given a flavor to her. She managed alliances, and she ran tech projects, she ran operations, she did everything possible.
Very varied. Okay.
And hence that was a differentiator. So she is a good example of a T. So that's what I tell people to become. And any of my programs, when they take, one of the important things is the mindset. Because skills can be learned. Skills is very, very easy, especially today. Skills are very easy to be learned. Despite that, people are not able to implement those learnings, right? It's because the mindset, the will, we say. There's a will and there's a skill. So the mindset. And largely for women, the mindset is a little bit of fear. I will be judged. I'm not good enough. I want to be perfect. I have to tick off all the boxes. That's there. It's still there in the woman. So I enable that, shift in the mindset to say I'm good enough. If I can tick 5 boxes in the job description, I'm good enough, because you know what? It's anyway a cut, copy, paste. I don't think, they need this.
And with
And
AI coming in, it
yeah,
can replace these,
exactly.
but it cannot replace the soft skills.
True.
Yeah.
So just go all out and say, I am the person, apply for it, put up your hand, and then you'll figure it out, because that's what it is with us. If we commit to something, we'll figure it out. We'll know how to do it. So take a risk, because that's what the men do. There'll be 30% on
Without
that.
thinking twice.
Yeah, there'll be 30% on the job description. I'll say, I am the person for it. And we are 100%. They'll think, I think I need to get a little bit more before applying. So those are what my programs enable.
Interesting. And I like it because all the talent, all the skills that can be learned
Yes.
are here. But what really is on top
Yes,
is the soft
very
skills.
true. Yeah.
Okay. So you're nicknamed the queen of networking. And they say network is your net worth, right? So tell us a little bit about why it is so vital.
So we are sitting here because of a network, right? I mean, Shreya referred, and I know Shreya from so many years. Not from the time I was born, but again through a network. So that's the compounding power of, networks leading to opportunities. And I let me first start with the definition of networking, because people get this very wrong. Networking is about what is the value that you can offer to the other person. It's as simple as that. So Shreya offered me value by referring here. And maybe I'll offer you value by referring somebody else, right? It's as simple as that. I mean, you don't have to do, you don't have to do big things. When I have a conversation with you, I'll get to know your aspirations or your challenges. And if I can help in any way, let me help you. That's all there is. And if you truly network that way, by adding value to the other person, you'll be surprised at the kind of opportunities that come your way. So that's the first thing, and I think I was always that. For this meek, timid, shy girl, one of the things that I always did was always help. I think it just comes naturally to us. I'm good at maths, so maths tuitions for other students, right? When I came to Bangalore from Indore, my Hindi was good, so everyone came to me for Hindi. So just help. And networking is about helping. So I think it's just there in me. And even to be able to take the plunge from the corporate career to not knowing what I was going to do, I knew I had a very large network. I sat down and spoke to many people that I had connected with, either on LinkedIn or I'd met them at some events, and everybody was happy to collaborate with me, which is what gave me the confidence that there's something that I can do, because everybody is happy to collaborate with me. They are willing to take that risk with this woman. So I'm sure, there's something that I can do with them. And that's how the network helps. And in organizations, I say that you have to have 3 kinds of network. One is very selfish. While I say that networking is a very selfless thing, you offer value and then you get back. But in organizations, the first one is a very operational network, which is I need to know the people who will get things done for me. Right? It's like I need to know the receptionist at the dentist's place, because if I have a toothache without an appointment, I'll still get through. So those people you definitely need to know. The second is more personal, which enables you growth, because there are some people who are the influencers in the organization. You can call them mentors, sponsors, who are in rooms where decisions get taken, and they will speak for you and about you.
And you have to be in their good books.
Yeah, so you have to know them. So that's the second group. The third is an external network, not only because when you need to shift, then you have that network, but what you learn from that external network, you bring it back to your organization, you're thinking differently and you're seen as a different person. Because within the organization, nobody's thinking like that. So the external network is also important. And I think my growth, both when I was in the corporate space, but definitely after that, for someone who didn't know an E of entrepreneurship, where to go, what to do, how to even figure out what next to do, has been truly because of the networks that I have.
Lovely. You mentioned about taking the plunge. There are a lot of women who are actually stuck in middle management, who have aspirations to get into the C-suite. So if there were 3 things that they needed to change, or 3 pieces of advice that you want to share, what would that be?
The first is about believing in yourselves. Michelle Obama has said that you belong there. That's all she says. Because she said that when you're sitting in a room, every other person is thinking, I belong here, that's why I'm here. Right? I don't know whether they are thinking you don't belong, but you are thinking you don't belong. You're the only person who thinks you don't belong.
True.
Everybody else thinks that they belong here. And actually, she says, I think they don't belong there.
Lovely. She takes it one step further.
So, first have that confidence in yourselves to say, I am good enough. And if there is something that I don't know, I will learn. Because everybody learns and moves up the ladder. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second is know your why very well. Don't follow the herd, as I say, because that's when the glass ceiling hits. Because I'm following XYZ, his or her path to success, if you could call it success, has been moved from here to here to here to here. So I have to do those 5 steps. But that may not be what you want to do, right? We don't even have, I call it intentional careers. Do you know where you want to be in the next 5 years? Largely, women won't have an answer. If you ask a man, he will have some answer.
True.
Whether it happens or not is a different thing. Because women say, okay, I will figure it along the way. And then what happens along the way, there's a roadblock, then you take a pause or you quit from the system.
We always have those if then.
Right. It's like if you're sitting in a car and driving without a destination, and if there's a tree which is kind of fallen, yesterday's rains, the tree has fallen, then since you don't know where you were going and there was no purpose, you'll go back home. That's what happens when you have no intention about your career. If something comes which rocks the boat, you'll say, okay, let me just be here. It is a good place to sit and, watch for a while. So have your purpose and your why very, very clear. And the third, of course, I'll speak, have a good network and have a very good personal brand. Your visibility is important. Nobody is going to talk about you. You got to talk for yourselves.
Which is a good segue to the next question. You always say this, that if you don't tell your story, nobody else will.
Yes.
Right? So let's talk about personal branding here. How important do you think it is, and what is it that we can do?
It is very, very important. It is extremely
I
important.
agree.
Yes.
And I know you do.
Yeah.
But what about all the women out there?
Let me kind of, paint it up
Because
to them.
going back to the same point, we women always tend to underplay ourselves.
Yes. That's true. Very true. So I run a lot of personal branding workshops also, and I've had people who came and attended these workshops. And one element of it is to show up on LinkedIn, or any social media. LinkedIn professional, media is important. LinkedIn is not equal to personal brand. It just accentuates your personal brand. So I didn't see most of them coming onto LinkedIn even after sitting through my workshops. So when I asked them, and largely my workshops are attended by women, they'll have 1 or 2 men over there. I said, we are scared. There is, we will be judged if we write something. Or there's so much of content out there. What is the difference that I will bring?
Will we stand out if we put content out
all
there?
of these, things. And I realized that another class will not help. Sitting and telling them the gyan that, no, you got to be. So I devised something called as a LinkedIn Writing Mindset Challenge. It was about
So everything goes back to the mindset.
It is the mindset. I said, I'm not going to teach you writing because I don't know what, your capability is. You can write that better. And ChatGPT or any AI will tell you how to write. But I will help you shift the mindset to understand why you should be on whatever social media and who is your target audience, which is also very important. Aparna may not be my target audience, and hence if Aparna says anything about my post, it is okay. Because you are not my target audience, so maybe you don't understand what I'm saying and I don't have to cater to you.
True.
But
And their judgment doesn't matter.
yeah, absolutely. So if you identify your why do I want to be, and hence the brand, and who's the target audience, it just shifts your mindset to say, let me go and write because my target audience will love me. And that's what helps me accentuate my brand. And this is the 7th cohort that I'm going to be running in May.
Wow.
And of course, there's always this, 80-20 rule. There'll be a few who will not do anything. But the ones who have come back for an alumni challenge that I ran, have said this has not only helped them write on LinkedIn, but it has helped them own the room. That is what one lady told me yesterday. It has helped me own the room. I said, I only helped you write on LinkedIn.
Lovely.
So that's what a mindset shift can do. And coming back to your personal brand, It is a very competitive market. It is a very competitive
More than ever.
market.
Now more
Yes,
than ever.
absolutely. So, and you will be forgotten if you have not, shown yourselves out there 3 days. 3 days is very cutthroat, but if you think that I'll write one post if it is about posting or, attending an event or showing up at a networking event or speaking on stages or whatever you wish to do, if you think once a month is good enough, you will be forgotten in 2 months because there are so many new people who are coming in. So it is imperative for you, first of all, you need to have stuff which you have. You have the capability. But how do you present it? The stories that we speak about, and where do you present it, and ensuring that the right audience is viewing and hearing you is important, because then when somebody says, who I want to refer a guest for Aparna, who should it be? Then Shreya will think of Neeraja. Shreya knows a zillion people, right? But she thought of me. So that's how it happens. People have to think of you and refer you. You can keep applying, you will not get it, right? You can come and knock on the door and say, I want to be here. Aparna will say, who are you? Like, let me read up about you. But when you're out there in the media, whether it is in the organization and outside, both places, your brand will speak for you. It will be a recall value, and people will reach out to you and say, I think you need to be here. How come you are not here? That's the importance of the
And
personal
I think
brand.
this message is particularly important to all of us women who deprioritize ourselves,
Yes.
who think of this as an option.
Correct.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
very true, very true.
Okay. Neeraja, you love saris.
Yes.
I love saris.
Yes.
So, one of the things that I heard you speak was how for this international event in Paris, you were a delegation of like 11 members,
Yes.
and the dress code was formal Western.
Yes.
And again, going back to the herd mentality, you said, no, I'm going to
Yes.
be, I've never worn anything beyond saris and salwar. So, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? So I was at this organization, got selected for a very prestigious women's leadership development program.
When was this?
This was 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
Okay. And we were 11 women across the globe who got selected. And the selection process was not easy, because I'm sure there would be thousands of women at that level who would have been nominated and discussed. And 11 got selected. So there were 3 from India, 1 from Dubai, 1 from Japan, some US and UK. That was the 11. So it was a prestigious moment, which meant that if I'm part of that program, then the whole organization gets to know these 11 women, and any future opportunities that they want to kind of put us at,
You're
we
always
don't have
in
to,
the
yeah, we are not, don't have to bargain and anything, okay, this is the person that should be there. So at the orientation, which was a virtual orientation, this coordinator, who is an Indian but has been in Paris, because this organization has a university in Paris. They call it as a university because all global programs are hosted there. She said one of the things is you have to wear Western formals. That's the dress code. And I told her, see, I've never worn Western formals. In India, sari or salwar, both are accepted as formal wear, and I'll wear that. And she was like, nobody has said this. So many Indian people, women have come here. Everyone has complied. I don't know, whether this will cut through. So I said, see, if you think...
So this was seen as non-compliance.
Yes, this was at that discussion she was telling me. So I said, see, I know I have not been chosen for this program because of what I wear.
True.
But if you think I will not be able to attend the program because I don't wear a Western formal, I'm happy to sit out.
Oh, you said that?
I said that.
Wow. Okay.
Because I don't want to feel uncomfortable in some dress and then struggle with it, right? I am who I am, which is this. So she said, I'll speak and come back. And she spoke, and she's an Indian. And that's the thing I wanted to say, right? She's an Indian, but sitting over there.
Okay.
I don't have to sell this concept to her, right?
True.
So then she came back a few days later and she said, okay, Neeraja, we've agreed that you can wear your salwars or saris, but wear muted colors.
Okay.
Which means none of this, right? I said, okay, I can still deal with that. I'll go, because I like to be colorful like this. So I don't want black and white, but okay, I'll buy black and white and come. So that's what I did. But the point is, when I landed over there, the other people, Paris in May, okay, so May is such a nice season, spring and all of that. Nobody else, which is non-Indians, were wearing the exact defined dress code.
Formal.
They had pants and they had skirts and all of that, but it was because the weather is so pleasant. They had like flowers on their dresses and all
Oh,
of that.
okay,
It was
okay.
not a typical
Muted.
Western formal, whatever the definition is, except for the other two Indian women.
Okay.
And they complied. And those 4 days, I knew they were struggling because the whole day we are in this program and it's an experiential program. We are running, we are doing this and all of that. And they were because they're not used to wearing this, right? And so they were struggling. And I thought, why is it that we can't even speak up about, what is comfortable for us? Why do we want to fit in like that and experience the discomfort? And that is where the glass ceiling will also come, because I can't be comfortable in this, so let me not even do it, right? I mean, this is just dress, but I'm saying in many other things,
Very
because
true.
you're trying to do what somebody else is doing,
Yes.
and hence it's a problem for you. So yeah, I did that, and I think I was happy. And I've always done that till date. I don't have to become somebody else.
Right.
Um, Another story. So and the biases continue. I don't know if you have. I saw your LinkedIn post where you said the woman in a sari in a boardroom. There was a recent post that you wrote about it. So I was delivering a keynote at this very prestigious conference, and after the keynote, I came out and I was sitting, and there was this lady. There was a lady who walked up to me and said, "Neeraja, I have to tell you this, that when you climbed up on the stage, I thought, what will she tell based on my appearance?" So I'm in a
There's a
sari. Yeah,
perception,
a very
there's a
traditional
prejudice that
appearance,
we,
right?
yes.
Yeah. A woman in a bindi and a sari and this hair, what will she tell me? I actually got up to get out of the room, but for some reason I continued to sit. And I'll tell you, yours was the best keynote. And I'm so glad that I stayed. But
Wow.
I will accept it that I had this in my head before you started speaking. So it exists. That exists. And if you are going to succumb to that and hence become somebody else or wear something else, you never perform to your best. That is the thing. I remember as a young leader in a 360-degree feedback, I had got feedback that I'm aggressive, and I'm sure women get this all the time, and it really bothered me because I was still growing in my career. I said, how can somebody think of me as an aggressive? Today you tell me, I'll say coin a new word because I'm beyond aggressive. Okay. But then I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, what about it? And I went and asked everybody, what about me is aggressive? And nobody accepted it. So, no, we didn't give the feedback. So I went to a very, very senior leader who's known as an aggressive leader, a male. And I said, I don't know how to deal with this feedback. And he said, so what? That's what he said. Yeah, so what? And then he said, if you try to change yourselves, you will not be able to perform. Which I was seeing already because that feedback was weighing on my head. Every meeting that I was going to, I was keeping quiet because I didn't know what I was saying or doing, which people were thinking of as aggressive. So I started becoming very quiet. And that also backfired because people said, hey, why are you not saying anything? Because you are a person who always, contributes to these discussions. He said, just be yourselves, but be aware that there is a perception that you are aggressive. Don't ignore that, but don't change yourselves. So, what do? You manage the perception. It was a brilliant piece of advice. How do you manage the perception? So, if you're in a room and you are the chairperson and taking decisions, you've taken inputs from everybody around the table. Do one more before you pronounce the decision, one more round, go around the table and specifically ask everyone, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? So you're
So everyone
actually,
knows that they're heard.
that you're making that very obvious. Then to take the decision what you wanted to, give the reasons as to why these two people's inputs were not, applicable in this decision making. Manage the perception, don't change yourselves. So yeah,
That's a brilliant piece
yes.
of
So
advice.
I'm like this.
See, aggressive is something, again, it depends on your perception. It could be taken as a positive, it could be taken as negative. People who are very aggressive get things done.
Absolutely. But the thing is, women who are assertive are called aggressive. If for the same thing a man says, he's a leader. But a woman says it in the same way, aggressive, bossy, and all of that. And so if a woman chooses not to say it that way, then, oh, she's too soft. She can't be a leader. So that's the thing.
Beautiful. I am feeling so inspired. And that was actually very interesting.
Thank you.
This is the Nari Shakti show.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to our signature question.
Yes.
Neeraja, what does Nari Shakti mean to you, and how has that evolved over the years?
So Shakti is strength. I think it's the inner strength in us. We don't necessarily need any more strength from outside, right? I think the inner strength, which is what is the most important aspect in every woman. And be yourselves, belong in the room, be confident, and go for it, which is for yourselves. Don't wait for opportunities, as I said, right? That somebody else is going to do anything for you. You got to do it for yourselves. So trust in yourselves, be confident about yourselves, and move ahead. That's one part of the Nari Shakti. The second part of the Nari Shakti is that can you elevate others, which is also very, very important. If you have an opportunity, and I'm sure you'll have many, many opportunities, can you elevate yourselves? And again, go back to the same simple story. Shreya said, Neeraja, you'll be on this podcast. She elevated me. Can I do that for someone else? In any opportunity that you see,
True.
can you just take another woman along
True.
with you? And of course, men too. I'm not saying no to
True.
that.
True.
But here we're talking women. And I try and do that always. So I run a small community called as Neerspires, which is all people who come and join my programs, become part of that community and keep offering certain things. I ensure that the next time I have an event, I will give an opportunity from somebody from that community to be the MC. Would never have done MC in their life. But it's okay.
There's always the first time for
there's
everything.
always, because I was heard once. This quiet girl was heard once, and that's why, I transformed. And I know I have to work much harder with this, this person, whoever that is, who's not done the emceeing before, but it is okay, right? That's also Shakti. So one is have the inner strength to go all out and do what you want to do. The rest will follow. And secondly, elevate others.
Lovely, lovely. Again, goes back to that point, right? A true change maker is one who's not just carving her own path, but she's actually carving the path for countless others.
Absolutely.
All right. I really, really feel so inspired. It's one of the best talks that we've had in the Nari Shakti show. So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
The biggest takeaways, the three biggest takeaways that came again and again, and I think they go a long way in the small and the big decisions that we take in our everyday life, is one, being ourselves, right? And you really emphasize that countless times. Second is passion over pressure.
True.
Do what you really, what your inner calling is. And third, have that courage to be out there and do it. Don't worry about what others, have to say about it. All right. So we really, really hope that you love today's show. Share this with someone, with another woman who thinks, who needs to hear this. Let's share this power together. We'll be back next week with another Nari and her story. Until next week, stay strong, be unstoppable. It's me, Aparna, signing off, and we are celebrating Nari Shakti.